Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Robot Damashii, or the Robot Spirits Side MS, our number 178 Shining Gundam, which is maybe my all-time favorite Gundam. It's a tie between Shining and Wing Zero, but definitely one of my favorites, and I think you guys will like it too, based on the character design. And as far as the figure goes, I'm really hoping it's awesome. And the cool thing about this figure is it's kind of like two figures in one. You get the super mode, which it comes as in the package, which has the red face showing and the shoulder pads are up and these things are out and these things are out, and I don't know if these are supposed to go down or not. But it's kind of awesome. It's really kind of awesome. This doesn't come on him in the package, so it's kind of an accessory, the backpack. But you guys, if you collect RD figures, then you know that they almost always have a backpack in the package. So really nice looking figure. I have to say, everything looks the way I want it to look. Happy about that. There are a couple of little issues with this guy. Some people are having big issues, and I'll point them out as we go, but mine doesn't really have too many big issues, so I'm kind of happy about that. I guess I got lucky for once. He stands about 13.5 centimeters tall to the top of his head, which is about 5.5 inches. So he's definitely not small, he's not giant, but he's got some decent size to him. Paint scheme or paint work on this guy, for the most part, really well done. You can see the black line work in there looks really good. The golds and reds all look nice. The green on there, the yellows. For the most part, it's a really solid paint job. Happy about that for sure. Sculpt wise, I think he's got really nice proportions and it has just a really solid look to him, so I'm happy about that. Also, so far so good. Let's look at the accessories. He's got a bunch. If you want to count these as accessories, they pop off, but I wouldn't really do that. Technically these are accessories because we have alternate ones, but you'll see those as we go. So the first thing we have is an alternate head. This is the super mode head, which is really cool. I do wish these things had hinges on them so you can put them just like halfway back, because I remember, and I could be wrong, but I remember some scenes where they're at an angle going back, but I could be wrong, like I said, so it's not a huge deal. So we have the super mode head, and then we also have the normal mode head with the more traditional looking Gundam face without the mouth part open and without these things up. The cool thing about this is, and I don't know how much people are actually going to use it, but it's nice that they included the option, is you can separate the face from the head and swap them out with each other. So if you want these with the super mode head, if you want these down, just swap out the faces. And then if you want the closed mouth with the opened fins, you can do that also. So that's a nice touch. And then these just pop on standard ball peg. So we have that, and we have the interchangeable calf pieces that hide the thrusters, so those just pop off. It's actually maybe a little too simple of a peg. I'm a little worried that those are going to end up getting loose, and they do rotate, so they could scratch the paint. They're not supposed to rotate, but they do. But it shouldn't be a problem, so those are interchangeable. And then we get the two beam saber handles, a small one and a large one. So if you guys are familiar with G Gundam, you should know why he has these. I mean, they're supposed to be two different sizes, and those can go right inside his hip piece. They just slide right in, so that's kind of cool. Actually, they would go the other way, facing this way. So that's nice. And then of course we need blades for our beam sabers, so we have these. One a little bit bigger than the other. They're a little pale for my liking. I think they might need a little bit more pink to them, but they're definitely not bad. And they are kind of a metallic pearly color too, so they look pretty cool. And they have a really nice sculpt, so I like that. We have the two fist hands that come on him, which are standard, of course. Nice sculpt to them, not just reused molds, so I like that. At least not that I'm familiar with. Maybe on one of the, no, I don't think so. I think they're new. We have the green hands. So that's cool for the shining finger. Really nice translucent green with a little bit of frosting on there. That's pretty good. Then we have the karate chop hands. And we have the sword holding hands. And we have the I'm gonna get you hands, or the crazy hands, or the style pose hands, whatever you want to call them. And then lastly we get the flight stand or display stage peg holder that you peg into his crotch, and then you put the thing in there. So decent array of accessories for sure. Now let's go through the articulation so you can see how this guy works. The first thing I want to do is show you how the super mode transformation pieces work. And so I'll just do it on this side for the shoulder. You pop off the shoulder pad. You'll see how. It's just a little tab in there. It goes right in there. And all you do is you fold that down, and then there's another tab. And then you push this back in, and it closes up the shoulder armor. It seems a little basic, but it works surprisingly well. They did a good job engineering it to fit properly, and I'm really pleased about that. So that's kind of awesome. Similar design for these. So that's just a big tab coming out right there that goes into the forearm that keeps that separated. And if you want to make them the smaller version for the non-super mode or normal mode, you just fold it down. And it's not nearly as loose as the forearm pieces for the God Gundam, so I'm really happy about that. So that works, again, really well. And then for these, we already kind of showed you. They just unpeg. Now that one was on kind of stiff after I fixed it, so that's kind of good. And then look how shiny that gold is, by the way. I do like that a lot. And then these just peg on there. And they kind of hang over part of the leg, so it's a really nice finish. It looks good. Now, there's another feature which I never paid that much attention to the feet, to be completely honest, so I'm not sure how this works. I assume for super mode you're supposed to make this part come out, but we have this sliding mechanic in the foot that brings the toe forward. It doesn't give you any extra articulation or anything, it just slides forward, and then the ankle things go down. I'm pretty sure I remember the ankle things going down like that for super mode, but they do have a little swivel on there, so you can do whatever you need to do if you remember more than I do. That's a nice feature. Just push that back in for normal mode. I don't remember, it could go the other way, but like I said, you have it either way, so that's good. So far, I don't have any complaints. I'm really happy with the figure. Let's keep going. For the head, we have a double ball peg. I think, well, it might be a single actually. Let's pull the head off and see. Be careful, you don't want to accidentally pull off one of the fins, by the way. So single ball peg on the top of the neck, and then probably just a single ball peg for the neck itself. But it's effective. I'm okay with it. Also be careful putting it back on. You don't want to break it. Good range of motion. Maybe it sits a little too high, but I think it's probably okay. Especially once you pose him, it's not going to be a problem at all. So I'm really happy with that. For the shoulder, we have the butterfly that comes forward. Will it go any farther? Yes, it comes all the way out. So if you need to do that for some reason, you can do that. Then on top of the butterfly, we have a ball peg that lets the shoulder move around. The shoulder pad is hinged independently from the shoulder. And then we have the shoulder hinge as well, so you can get the arm all the way up there if you need to. Underneath the shoulder hinge, we have a ball peg for the bicep. It is a little bit loose. It's not floppy loose though, so I'm okay with it. Now, I don't know what kind of option sets they're going to come out with that might be heavy and have problems like the God Gundam had, but as it is, it's not loose enough that it's a problem. It's just loose. So if it gets more loose, it will be a problem. As it is, it's just a little bit more loose than I would like. So it's okay, but that does give us our bicep swivel and a little extra motion. We have a double hinged elbow, which obviously it'll work, but the shoulder pad's in the way because he's got really big shoulder pads. So can't really fault the elbow, that's just the way it goes. But it does technically have really good range of motion. We have, I think this is we have a swivel in the forearm. So that's for if you want to rotate the arm and put the blue thing back on, you can do that. So that's good. And then for the wrists, we have the extending ball peg. So that pushes in or it pushes out. And then you can obviously just swap out the hands on that ball peg. And the reason that does that is so that you can use the hands that have this feature. Well, I guess I'll just show you. So you pop that off and put this on. Be careful you don't snap that little ball peg, it's very tiny. Pull it out, put the hand up, and now he can do that. So it's a nice feature. I'm glad that they included that. For the upper torso, I think we're going to start to have some problems. We have almost no range of motion in that upper torso joint. So I don't get why they bothered to do it if they weren't going to give us any range of motion. They should have probably done a better job with that. Probably tucking this part into the red like they've done before rather than having this upper part move. It doesn't really work that well. Now for the lower torso, we get better range of motion, but this one is just bordering on floppy. If I make it flop, it will flop. It's pretty darn loose. It'll hold itself up, but it is really loose, so be aware of that. You do get good range of motion out of it, but it's fairly loose, so that's problematic. For the skirt panels, pretty much standard ball pegs, nothing special there. I'm not going to really get in the way too much. The back skirt, I was told it's the same as God Gundam. I don't really remember, to be completely honest, but it doesn't get out of the way very much. It's kind of like on a hinged peg, so I guess that's okay. I'm not entirely sure. And then for the hips, we have a ball peg, but the ball peg can move, so we can slide that forward, which looks kind of weird, but that does allow for better range of motion for kicks and stuff. So you're going to be able to pose the heck out of this guy without too much trouble. Now here's the thing, is some people are telling me that not the hinge part, but the ball peg itself is incredibly loose. Now, kind of like the upper bicep hinge, or not hinge, ball peg, mine's loose, more loose than I would like, but they're definitely not like floppy loose. They're about the same as like Heavy Arms or some of the Wing Gundam suits that had those semi-loose hips. They're not enough to be a problem, really, so I guess I got lucky. They are more loose than I would like, but they're not problematic at this point. So be aware of that, but cross your fingers and hope for a good one. We have a thigh swivel here. We have the knee joint, which is basically the same as the God Gundam. It works well. I still think it's pretty darn ugly, and the reason it's ugly is because they have that swivel in the knee, which I still think is completely unnecessary. At least this time, though, it's not loose like on the God Gundam. When you tried to turn the leg on the God Gundam, you ended up turning the knee. Whereas in this one, they loosened this up a bit and tightened this up, so now you can just turn the whole leg, which is more natural. So I'm really happy that they tweaked it like that, but I still think it's just not a necessary piece of articulation. You can just rotate the thigh in a natural way. You don't need to bend the knee. That just looks weird. But it is there, so if you like it, good. And if you don't like it, it's not a problem as much as it was for the God Gundam, so be happy about that. Now for the ankles, we have some serious problems. You already saw the ankle armor, how that works. So how the ankle connects, or the foot connects to the ankle, is a single ball peg, which moves the whole thing around, but there's almost no range of motion. Just ignore this part for now. There's no range of motion for the actual foot. That's it. And as far as going forward and back, it can't go forward at all. That's as far as it can go. And I don't understand why they keep giving us this joint instead of bringing the toe up. This is absolutely useless. Even when they're in flight poses, you don't need the toe going down. You do quite often on the ground need the toe going up, so I don't get that at all. But the ankle can't do it, the toe can't do it. The only thing the toe can do is go straight down. We do get this ball peg swivel in here, which can kind of fake an ankle rocker, so you can pose them a little bit. It's acceptable, I guess, but what's not acceptable is how lousy the ankle articulation is on the rest of it. As you can see, there's enough room in there to give it better posability, but there's no range of motion, so that's really disappointing. You can fake it with that joint, but that's not really what you want to do. The whole foot should be able to rotate, and they can easily do it. They've done it tons of times before. I don't get why they didn't do it here. So if we can get that toe joint and that ankle joint fixed, ankle's much better. So that would be a good thing in the future. But as far as everything else goes, my loosest joint is the torso, which is one that I can kind of live with. Hopefully the bicep and the hip don't get any looser, because that would be problematic. But as it stands for me, I think I got lucky, because for the most part, my joints are good. I'm really happy with this release overall. I love this Gundam. I love the figure they made, and I'm just super happy about it. And I think you guys will be too. It should be in stock at Big Bad Toy Store very soon, so check out the link in the description below so you can order yourself one before they sell out. You're going to definitely want to have one of these if you're into Robot Damashii or into Gundams or just into cool figures. Grab this one. It's a really nice shelf piece. And make sure you click that thumbs up button if you like this video. I do appreciate that. And click that subscribe button so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.